Yeah. Um, let's see, what was my positive for this week? Um, honestly, my positive was that I managed to stay off social media more than usual.
Ooh,
Yeah. Um, you
that's a
know,
big deal.
it is for me, two things. Jen kind of brought it up. She's like, "Hey, maybe it'd be good if you cut it off at, a certain point in the day, or at night, And I'm like, "Yeah, that's a good idea." And then I just happened to be watching something and it was talking about Eminem and how he operates. And I think it was Akon, but they were doing an interview and he's like, yeah, he goes, so I go in and we start getting busy at like 3 o'clock, in the afternoon. And M's in the middle of writing a verse, and at 5 o'clock, he's like, all right, I'll see you tomorrow. He's like, what do you mean see me tomorrow? Like, he's like, I'm going home. He's like, I'll see you tomorrow. He's like, but we're in the mid like we're in the middle of groove. And he's like, yep, and we'll pick it up tomorrow. And he goes into work at 9, 8 or 9, and then he's done at 5 and he goes home to his family.
Yep.
And like there are artists out there that it blows their mind because they're just like they don't operate like that. They'll be in the studio till 4 in the morning. If it's flowing, it's flowing. And M isn't like that. He can shut it off, turn it back on. And I found that interesting because it's not his whole life.
No,
So that just kind of
doesn't
got me.
control them at least.
Yeah. So
You
that
know.
just kind of got me looking at things a little different and being like, okay, my wife's telling me, maybe you need to improve your diet a little bit. And but she also
Like
knows
that.
that this is yeah, but she also knows this is my bread and butter too. Like, she knows what I'm doing, she knows why I do it. She supports it 100%. It's just, she's my
Your
thermometer.
llama.
Well, she's my thermometer, so to speak. Like
Yeah.
she's the one that's watching my mental health, because I'll be focused on what I'm doing, but she, after 11, 12 years, she can just sense when I'm going down a rough patch. And
Yeah.
she'll come in and she'll be like, put the phone down, let's go do something. And
Time to.
that's
Time to
that's what I need. I need that because for me, again, going back to the bipolar, if you don't cut up whatever the stimulant is off at a certain point, then you can't come back down.
right.
And that's something that I've figured out over the last few years is if I start getting stimulated too much online by the haters and stuff, I have to walk away because if I don't, then it just spins me up and I can't come down from it.
When
Whereas if
you
I,
when you stare at the abyss stares back.
bro,
One
yeah,
of those situations. I know it's a deep sea dive where you're like, you're gone. That's it. I'm out.
yeah,
It's. I'm glad that you have that to break it up, which is really phenomenal.
yeah,
Me making music, I was on both ends, and I can tell you right now that I used to stay up to 4, 5, 6, 7 in the morning, just working on projects, depending on the deadline.
right.
And there's also a difference of having M&M money and you having a 9 to 5.
And hustling.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
I mean, he
And
wasn't always that way, right?
exactly,
Yeah, yeah,
exactly. But knowing what the virtue of money is and what time is, and the fact that time is money and time is worth a lot. You never get it back.
it's
Money
your
you
most
make,
precious
you
commodity.
lose. Time you never get back.
Yep.
You never make up time.
Nope.
So we're only moving forward, right? Bringing America forward. And the biggest thing that I find interesting is that, like for me, I don't care for social media in the context. I rather chase my son around, because I'm getting this time with him
Yep.
now that I know I will never get again.
Yep.
Um,
And
well,
I struggle with that. I struggle with that a lot
it's
because,
why do you struggle with it?
well, for me, so if you aren't bipolar, you don't struggle with depression, then you may not quite understand, but hopefully
Then
most
get
do.
mad.
Well, not even the manic. The manic part is actually when I probably play with them the most.
Mm,
Because you have all this energy. The worst parts for me is when I'm really depressed. And
yeah,
unfortunately for me, I don't tend to hit the manic episodes much anymore. I tend to go into depressions. So I don't get the fun, energy and all that stuff. I tend to just get the downs.
yeah,
And so what that does is it makes it really hard for me to function. So sometimes it just makes it difficult doing what I need to do through the day. And then the people that suffer are your family. They're the ones that suffer because you have to do what you have to do to get through the day. And by the time you get home at 4 o'clock or whatever, you're mentally done
right.
because you've been fighting this cloud all day that just wouldn't go away. And then when you get home, it's like you shut down. And that to me is missed time. And
Yeah.
it's time that I'll literally be sitting there, laying in bed, depressed, struggling, and I'll be kicking myself in the ass because I'd rather be out with the kids, but I just can't
And you're
function.
getting more depressed because you're depressed.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's a vicious cycle,
Yeah.
right?
That's
And
another abyss that you stare at, and it's
exactly. So
like
it's tough because, like you said, that is our most precious commodity. I look, my daughter's 5'4". You know, she's 10 years old. Like I only have another few years with her before she's the teenager and starting to really find herself. And
and dunking in the WNBA. Absolutely.
hopefully,
Yeah.
she's going to need to sponsor those feet. Jesus. Um,
Well, thank you for sharing that with me and the rest of the world.
yeah, man. You know,
Well, no, don't brush that off. Thank you for sharing that because I'm sure that your story is necessary because you have the strength to put it out there, and because you do have that armor on you that you wear so well to deal with any of the haters or any of the bullshit. And I'm me being on the sidelines of it. Thank you, because it really it gives us a glimpse into that world, even if we are at a safe distance from it. Not trilling down the abyss. But thank you because it helps us to better understand and also to be there to even. And you and I've always done it. I've always reached out to you no matter what.
yeah.
I've always had that relationship with you where, like Jen, maybe it's just you and black people. Maybe we just know you, brother. Maybe that's
It
what it
seems
is.
to be,
You know what I'm
you
saying?
know, at
Maybe we
Kalen
just need
too.
it.
It's bipolar and black folks seem to be the two people that get me most.
We like the way you operate, brother.
I
That's all we
guess,
got
man.
to say.
No,
Like,
I mean, you know, being online has shown me that that there are a lot of people from all walks of life that suffer with the same things.
yeah,
And you know, it's why I always say depression, bipolar, anxiety, you know, whatever you're dealing with, even if it's addiction, it's the road is so similar for all of us.
right.
You know, it may be a little something different, but you know, when you sit down, you start talking about experiences, you start realizing pretty quick that, you know, addiction versus depression, it doesn't really matter. The roads are very, very similar. And you know, I just when I said Jen supports me, one of the biggest reasons she does support me doing this is because she sees the emails, she sees the DMs that I get
Mm,
of people who won't publicly say anything because they can't, but
right.
they'll privately message me and say thank you because I feel seen and you show me that, you know, you can still be successful and you can still have a public persona and you can still do all these things, you know, if you manage your mental health.
Yeah,
And that is one of the main reasons I still do it, because I know that there are people that hear the story or hear the experiences just like I did. And I'll say it again, Jennifer Lewis and my wife are the two reasons I went and got help. And if you don't know who Jennifer Lewis is, go Google her. You spell it with one N, not two. And she's bipolar as well. And she's done many interviews about it, but there was a particular interview that she had these gloves on. She looked great. And but she talked about it and she's like, you know, you sit in shit too long and eventually it stops smelling. So
mm,
get up out of there and get some help.
yep,
And then she also talks about her experiences. And I was like, holy shit, that sounds like me. That sounds like the same kind of shit I deal with.
yeah,
And it was just seeing her. And at the time that clicked, she's on Blackish. Like the time when I'm getting help, like she's in the middle of, you know, one of the most successful shows that we've seen.
absolutely.
So to watch her be successful, know that she has been successful her entire life and wasn't medicated for a very long portion of it. It just gave me hope that, you know, yeah, get your shit under control because you can't do anything else if you don't have yourself figured out.
Right.
Then once you have yourself grounded again, then you go out there and you start
Get back
conquering
out there.
things.
Get
Then you
back out.
get your ass back out there. And that's what it was. It was just seeing somebody else that I knew. I don't want to say I want to be where she is, but just a public person that's able to manage it. And then also the example that she sets for the rest of us, you know, for people like me to see and to go, yeah, I need to go get some help too. And if she can do it, I can do it.
That's
And
cool, man.
hopefully that's what I'll be at some point for somebody, you know, hey, if Ryan can do it, then I can do it. And I'm telling you guys, if I can do it, so can you.
Yeah.
You know, the only, and I'll just use it real quick to say this one last thing. This is why we need healthcare for everybody. If you want to improve mental health, if you want to stop mass shootings, if you want to stop kids from committing suicide, we need to provide healthcare for all Americans, particularly kids. They should be able to get mental health screening. They should be able to get the care that they need. Every American should be able to get mental health treatment, because if you can't get your mental health under control, everything else falls apart.
Yeah.
You are a better husband or wife. You are a better father or mother. You are a better employee. So there are so many reasons for us to put taxpayer dollars into programs that would help these things, because it helps all aspects of life. It, whether you realize it or not, me getting my mental health under control actually is a benefit to society. It actually makes me less of a burden on our economy. So it's
And the
worth.
community, you're bringing the community together. You know, you're
Yeah,
really,
absolutely.
really, it takes a village, and that's what
Dude, it,
things.
it does. And I mean, look at right here. We got people in the comments. Kaylin, she comes on and supports us and moderates for us. It takes a village of people. And
I see you, boo boo. I see you.
but like you said, for people that don't know, Ian and I, we've gotten into, I'm not going to say a fight, because it wasn't a fight, but like we've gotten like
Oh,
in a heated back and forth about politics. And but like Ian said, he just kind of understands. So it's like 5 minutes later, we'll be back to the way,
why?
we just, it's like, I don't know what it is. You've told me personally, so I'm not going to say it. It's up to you,
No,
but
no, no. I mean, in those situations, in the end, it's still, I love you. Like, there's no
yeah,
answer to love.
exactly.
You know what I mean? It's not one of those things where I even have to question it. You know what I mean? And it's,
Yeah.
even if you see a tailspin, and that could be even for myself, because I get wrapped up into something, and it's like,
Yep.
oh, okay, go ahead, finish that thought, and
Yep.
then let's pull it back a little bit there. But at the same time, it's one of those things that it's just being cognitive, being in tune with somebody, listening to
Yeah.
them. It doesn't help, and maybe this is a life lesson for America, being the two parties. You can't out scream somebody.
Mm,
At some point, you got to listen to what they're trying to say, because we have different ways of trying to do something, but at the same time, there is no right or wrong with it. This is all gray. All of this is, but there are certain things that are off the table and non-negotiable, you know, and that's the understanding that we have to have with some folks.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, we can pick any topic and say that that's non-negotiable,
Yeah.
but at the same time, it's like, when you look at politics, you look at them playing games, people aren't listening, and
No.
and this is me challenging the constituents. Listen to these people who, when they tell you who they are, plain and
Yep.
simple.
Yeah.
You don't I don't need to scream at you, and this is just me in general, into the echo chamber, because you have your view and you're getting your propaganda from this person, or whatever the case is. It's like, in the end, you're going to believe what you're going to believe, and I get all that, but how many times do you need to be hurt? Because I feel like a lot of Republicans have Stockholm syndrome,
Mm,
and they're with their captor.
yeah.
Trump hijacked that party, and now you're in bed with it. That's it. But it's like, you don't have to be.
No, you don't.
You don't have to be. I'm not going to attack you. And I said this to you at the very beginning, when you and I started rocking with each other. I don't blame a Trump supporter. There's something where they feel hurt. There's something where they feel left behind,
Hmm,
and we have to listen to why that is.
yeah.
And how do we show them a better tomorrow?
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like we go have another show on that whole topic. Um,
Yeah.
but no, I mean,
And that's the end of the positive.
that's the end
So,
of the positive. Um, but no, I mean, seriously, the community, like Amber just said, the community that we build on here is so important, and like you're not very much into social media, but we're doing this podcast and people are getting to know you, and we're talking about your music and all this stuff. So, it's still cool, because you're still out here, but you're
yeah.
just not on, Twitter and all that stuff, like the rest of us, or some
I'm
of us, I
out in
should
these
say.
streets, son. I'm out in these streets.
Yeah, exactly. So, but no, it's why I love doing the show. It's why I love everybody in the comment sections, because we do, whether it's on the outline or not, we end up having these great conversations about topics that matter. And again, if you're out there, if you are like me and you haven't, and you feel like you might need some help, but you aren't sure, go talk to somebody. You know,
Yeah.
they'll help you figure out. Sometimes it may not be anything. It may just be you're going through a seasonal depression, or you just have some anxiety tied to a specific thing. It may not be an ongoing issue.